Hello, my name is Aubrey. I'm so glad you're here. Today I wanted to rank my top 5 reads of the year so far. I'd seen some other booktubers do this type of video where they rank their top 5 reads for each quarter of the year. So I am jumping on the bandwagon. I thought that this would be an interesting exercise to reflect on each quarter and decide, what my favorite reads were from each quarter. And then theoretically, those books would be the contenders for my top 10 reads of the year. This was actually quite a difficult list to make. I've read a lot of good books already this year and I really struggled. So I have 2 honorable mentions. Just know that I'm not super firm on any of these rankings. So anyway, let's start with the first honorable mention, which is This Is How You Lose the Time War. It's a strange yet lovely time-traveling novella where 2 agents on the opposite side of a time war slowly fall in love with each other. It is so strange. It is so abstract and odd, but the writing has so much beauty to it and the love story between these 2 characters is just intoxicating. I really enjoyed it. I've thought about it a bunch since I've read it. It didn't quite make the list just because it is a novella and I felt like there was a certain learning curve as I was reading it. I just went into it not having the right expectations. I mean, I don't know how you would prepare anyone to read This Is How You Lose the Time War because it's such an odd little book. But yeah, I think what I thought I was getting and what I was getting were somewhat at odds. And so it just took me a little while to get rooted into the story and the writing style and just what I was in for. But still an excellent read of the year and one that I will be thinking about for a long time. My second honorable mention is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. This book was a trip. In this, we're following an architecture student, Effie, who has always dreamed of being in the literature program, but at her particular college they don't accept women into the literature program. But there's a certain author and writer that she's always loved and looked up to, and she gets this opportunity to build a memorial for that author after his passing. And so she gets to go to his creepy manor on a cliffside. And this manor and her experiences there end up being kind of weird and unsettling. She also ends up discovering some truths about her favorite author that maybe she didn't really want to know. This was just such a strange book, but an enjoyable book. I really liked Effie. I liked the journey she went on through this book. I just really enjoyed the tone and the gothic atmosphere and just how weird and murky it was. Again, definitely a book that I'm still thinking about and still returning to. It didn't quite make the list, but still a really good read. Alright, so coming in at number 5, I have Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. These were my very first reads of the year, and I'm so glad that they were because I enjoyed them very much. I'm sure you guys know about Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust, so I won't bore you with a synopsis, but I was a little worried going into these that they were going to be boring. I think that was my main concern, that high fantasy, low stakes was gonna be dull. But the hype and the praise around the series, I just thought I at least need to give it a try. It sounds adorable in theory. And I'd say that it's pretty adorable in execution as well. I really love our main character, Viv. I love the journey she goes through in both of these books. I just thought it was quaint and lovely and charming. I love stories about found family, about starting over, about growing as a person and finding your place in the world. These were warm and cozy and feel good, and I highly recommend them. I personally enjoyed Bookshops and Bone Dust a little bit more than Legends and Lattes. I think that had to do with the setting and also the side characters, which I liked a lot more in that one. But both are good. Both are good. So yeah, Legends and Lattes, excellent. It comes in at number 5. Next, I have The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is book 4 in the Shades of Magic series. I just had so much fun returning to this world. What can I say? I loved reading that trilogy last year, and so the fact that we get more is so exciting. I love that we get to spend more time with these characters. I love that we get to meet new characters. I love that there's more to the story. I'm happy to be here. Getting more felt very good. I was giggling and squealing all my way through this book. I just had a good time, okay? Coming in at number 3, I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands book 2. I read these very recently and I can see why people love them so much. We are of course following Emily Wilde, who is a, you know, stuffy Cambridge professor who studies fairies, and she's like one of the leading most experts on fairies, and she ends up going to this small little village because there are some rare fairies that she wants to study. And then this kind of like annoyingly handsome professor from Cambridge ends up like joining her there, who goes by Wendell Bamblebee, and he kind of messes stuff up and then he kind of makes it better, and then they end up working together. Wendell is kind of mysterious in his own right. It's just so much fun. It's like very enjoyable. Their banter is so fun. The fairies themselves, like the fae in these books, are definitely a lot of fun because they're very creepy. I'm starting to really enjoy books where fae are really dark and creepy and weird, and they have their own sort of like logic and morals. I don't know, just the way that they operate and the way that they decide to do things and how they talk in riddles. Like, I'm enjoying it a lot. And in this series in particular, the way that Heather Fawcett writes the fae is just terrifying and fascinating. Like, I'm with Emily. Like, I would be out there like looking in the shrubs trying to learn about these wacky little creatures. So I am enjoying the series very much. I loved books 1 and 2, and so they earned my number 3 spot. All right, coming in at number 2, this was so hard. So I had it narrowed down to 2 picks. Choosing which one was going to be second and which one was going to be first was so painful. It took me forever and I kept going back and forth. Could not make up my mind. So it's very loose, all right? So coming in at number 2, I have the Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams, which of course I'm holding upside down. Hold on. The Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams. You guys know that this is my very recent obsession. I love this trilogy so much. It has just completely won me over with its characters and its world building and the mysteries and the humor and the animal companions. Like, this series has so much going for it. It has so much to love. I have a trilogy review of it if you want to know more about it. Honestly, one of the best like fantasy sci-fi series I've ever read. All right, and coming in at number 1, my favorite read of the year so far goes to The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. Now, this edged out the Winnowing Flame trilogy by a hair, and the only reason I put this first is because this is just so my type of book. The absolutely delicious writing style, the dark fairy tale vibes, the toxic, stifling atmosphere. I just love everything about this. Like, I love everything about this. This took me for a ride that I cannot stop thinking about. I cannot stop thinking about it. Like, the ending is so good and so brilliant. I don't even know what else to say. All right, we are following a man who falls in love with a deeply mysterious and alluring woman, Indigo Maxwell Castañeda, who is this powerful, rich, privileged, breathtaking, mysterious woman. They fall in love, he marries her, and her only request is, don't ever go looking into my past, okay? When Indigo's aunt falls ill, they end up having to travel back to Indigo's childhood home. There he finds out that Indigo had a best friend in childhood, and nobody seems to know what happened to this best friend. Our bridegroom wants to keep his promise, but he goes looking. It is such a page turner. Like, I don't want to say that it reads like a thriller because it doesn't, but it is a page turner. Like, I could not stop reading this. I did not want to put this down at any point. It's dark, it's weird, it's fantastic. My review on Goodreads for this book is 5 out of 5 stars and a standing ovation. And I stand by that. 5 out of 5 stars and a standing ovation. Please read it. Please, please, please. Please. All right, so those were my top 5 reads of the year so far. I can't believe how fast this year is going by. I just feel like it is evaporating out from under me. Anyway, what have your favorite reads of the year been so far? I would love to know. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned on my list, feel free, we can chat about them in the comments. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye!